Welcome back to the part 2 of 5 important things which you should know about the pivot tables. In the part 1 हमने ये 5 features discuss करे थे, so if you haven't watched the part 1, do check it out. Link is provided in the description below. जैसे हमने part 1 में बताया था, pivot tables are one of the most powerful features in Microsoft Excel, जिसकी help से हम एक huge data set को quickly and easily analyze कर सकते हैं. So in this video, we are going to talk about the next 5 features of pivot tables which will help us in becoming a pro in pivot tables. So watch the video till the end. Let's start with slicers. Slicers are just like filter, but ये हमें visual and interactive button provide करते हैं which helps us in filtering the data. Now a lot of people have this doubt in their mind कि अगर slicers भी data को filter out करते हैं, then what's the difference between slicers and filters? So जो filter होते हैं वो एक जगह fix रहते हैं, that is in a particular cell location. But on the other hand, slicers are like floating objects which can be moved around as per our needs. Along with that, it provides an elegant look for reports and dashboards. To insert a slicer, go to the Pivot Table Analyze tab and from there insert the slicer. Now we can filter the data for any country which we want to see, but the problem arises when we want to filter out more than one pivot report using the same slicer. Here we have two pivot reports which are created using the same data source, and we want to filter the data using the same slicer, but as we can see, this slicer is only filtering the data for one pivot table. If the same slicer is not working for all pivot tables, don't worry, just follow these simple steps to solve this issue. Select the slicer and you will see a new tab is being opened up in the name of slicer. Go to that tab and on the left side you will see a report connections option and select that. Here you can see all the pivot tables which you have created, so you just need to select those pivot tables which needs to be filtered out using this slicer. Now you can use the same slicer for filtering out the data for all the connected pivot tables. The next feature helps us in creating custom formulas inside the pivot tables with the help of other pivot table fields. This feature is known as calculated field. There are some limitations to what a calculated field can do for us, but even after that, it is a powerful tool inside the pivot tables जो आपको हेल्प करेगा आपके रिपोर्ट्स को और ज़्यादा ऑप्टिमाइज्ड एंड एफिशिएंट बनाने में. तो चलिए देखते हैं कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड कैसे वर्क करता है. यहाँ पर हमारे पास में प्रोडक्ट्स की परफॉर्मेंस रिपोर्ट है जिसमें सेल्स एंड कॉस्ट की वैल्यूज अवेलेबल है. द कंपनी वांट्स टू कैलकुलेट द प्रॉफिट अर्नड ऑन ईच प्रोडक्ट. अ सिंपल कैलकुलेशन, राइट? सेल्स माइनस कॉस्ट एंड वी गेट आवर प्रॉफिट. An average Excel user will calculate the profit like this. इन दोनों सेल्स को सब्ट्रैक्ट करेगा एंड एंड तक इस फॉर्मूला को ड्रैग करेगा. बट हम इस चैनल के थ्रू आपको एक्सेल में प्रो यूजर बनाना चाहते हैं. तो एक प्रो यूजर इस प्रॉब्लम को कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड की हेल्प से सॉल्व करेगा. चलिए देखते हैं कैसे. कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड को एक्सेस करने के लिए वी नीड टू गो टू द पिवट टेबल एनालाइज टैब. वहां पर फील्ड्स, आइटम्स एंड सेट्स ऑप्शन में सिलेक्ट करेंगे कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड्स को. एक पॉपअप बॉक्स ओपन होगा एंड इसकी हेल्प से हम कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड को क्रिएट करेंगे. द फर्स्ट ऑप्शन इज टू एंटर द नेम. सिंस वी वांट टू क्रिएट द कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड फॉर प्रॉफिट, तो हम यहाँ नेम में प्रॉफिट एंटर करेंगे. द सेकंड ऑप्शन इज टू एंटर द फॉर्मूला एंड वी नो टू कैलकुलेट द प्रॉफिट वी जस्ट नीड टू सब्ट्रैक्ट सेल्स एंड कॉस्ट. From the fields list, look for the sales and cost field and insert them with the help of insert field button, and we are done with our calculated field. You can see a new pivot table field has been created with the name of profit and it has been added into the pivot report automatically. The best part of calculated field is that we can use this profit field in all our other reports. Let's say we want to calculate the profit earned in each country. We just simply need to drag country field in the rows and profit field in the values. And now we have a report for country wise profit earned. अगर हम यहाँ पर भी ट्रेडिशनल मेथड का यूज करते टू गेट आवर प्रॉफिट वैल्यू, तो हमें यहाँ पर भी सेल्स एंड कॉस्ट को इंसर्ट करना पड़ता एंड देन ओनली वी वुड हैव बीन एबल टू गेट आवर प्रॉफिट वैल्यू. सो क्रिएटिंग द कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड इज मच मोर एफिशिएंट एंड डायनामिक टू यूज. The next feature will help us in creating one or more calculated items. So in pivot tables, we have several fields and inside those fields we have several items. So calculated items is a custom formula in Excel जिसकी हेल्प से हम same field में अलग अलग items को combine कर सकते हैं. Confused? Let's go back to Excel and वहाँ समझते हैं कि ये calculated items क्या होते हैं. We have a report of sales in different countries, but we don't want to see all these countries. Instead, we want to combine few countries to form a group. To access calculated items, click inside the pivot tables and go to the pivot table analyze tab, and under field items and sets we can see calculated items. But ये क्या? ये ऑप्शन तो ग्रेड आउट है. The reason why it's grayed out is because we haven't selected the correct active cell inside the pivot table. अभी हमारा active cell sum of sales वाले column में है. And as soon as we move the active cell to the countries column, calculated items वाला option भी active हो जाएगा. After we select calculated items options, a similar kind of box opens up जो हमने calculated fields के time पर देखा था. The only difference is the items options on the right side. Now we wanted to create a group by combining 3 countries. Name में we can enter group 1, we can leave the formula as it is and we will move towards the fields. And यहाँ पर हम country को choose करेंगे. As we select the country, a unique list of country appears in the items area. We will select Canada and press insert items button. With the plus sign in between, we will add United Kingdom and United States as well. We can see a new line has been added and now group 1 contains the aggregated data of these 3 countries. But the work is not done. हमें filter में से Canada, United Kingdom and United States को filter out करना होगा to get the correct report. So ये था calculated item जिसकी help से हम data को concise बना सकते हैं without losing any information. One way to use this feature is with the pivot charts. Instead of showing the data for these several countries, we can create a chart where countries are being aggregated on the basis of regions. Our pivot table is ready, but unfortunately वो wrong position पर placed है. The next feature will help us out in moving the pivot table easily from one place to another. Again, we need to go inside the pivot table analyze tab and there in the actions area, we have an option called move pivot table. उसे select करो and select the cell where you want to move the pivot table and our pivot table has been moved. The last feature is very important. People often forget each time the data gets updated, we have to refresh the pivot tables manually so that our pivot reports can show the correct values. But in the era of automation, is there any other way with the help of which we can automate the whole process of refreshing the pivot table? So in this video, we are going to show you 2 ways with the help of which you can auto refresh your pivot tables. Option number 1 is that your pivot tables will auto refresh as soon as you open your Excel workbook. ये एक बहुत अच्छा फीचर है एंड इसके बारे में ज़्यादा लोगों को नहीं पता है. तो चलिए देखते हैं इस ऑप्शन को कैसे एक्टिवेट करते हैं. To activate this option, right-click the pivot table and access pivot table options. Under the data tab, check the box which says refresh the data when opening the file and your work is done. Every time you open the file, your pivot table will automatically get refreshed. Option 2 is much more dynamic, but there is one catch to it. Your data should be connected with the help of get and transform data. That is, if you have connected to an external database or if you have transformed the data with the help of Power Query, then only you can manually set the interval to refresh the pivot tables. I have connected my data with the help of Power Query, so let's see how it works. If you are sitting on the pivot table sheet, then go to the data tab and select the queries and connection option and it will open up a query section on the right side. Click on table 1 and it will take you to the data sheet from which you have created your pivot tables. Again, under the data tab, select the properties option and click this icon to access the query properties. Here we have an option for refresh every n minutes. We can enter any number we want, let's say 30, and query will automatically get refreshed every 30 minutes. Now we don't have to worry about updating the pivot tables again and again. So ये थे इस वीडियो के 5 features which you should know about the pivot tables. In total we have discussed 10 important features of pivot tables जो as an Excel user आपको आने चाहिए. ये 10 features 2 वीडियोस में divided है, so don't forget to watch the other part as well. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and if you want to watch a video on a particular topic, please leave a comment below and we will try to create a detailed video on that topic.